Hey everyone, it's Amy here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my Love It or Leave It review on the brand new Violet Voss Pro Ride or Die palette. I am so excited to share this with you guys. Look at this palette. Like, look at it right there. Like, oh my goodness. It is so cute. So this is a huge palette with 42 shades. So it took me all week to try this out with creating multiple looks every single day. I would come home at night and play with it and do different looks on each eye. So I was doing like 3 or 4 looks a day so I could get through this palette. That way I could review it for you guys. So I'm super excited to share with you guys my thoughts. I'm going to keep the actual review rather small because it's pretty much these swatches that are going to take up majority of this video, and I'm sure you guys will love to see live brush swatches of this palette. So let me go ahead and tell you some information about the palette. Technically, it hasn't officially launched yet. They keep doing these secret pre-launches. So because of that, I don't know the official release date. I haven't heard anywhere, but it hasn't officially launched. So don't freak out when you see this video and you go to the website and it's no longer available. They've just done the 2 secret pre-launches and then it will be coming later. So I will definitely update you guys on Instagram when it releases. I did purchase mine for $68 and it says, named after your ride or die pal, each color was curated from our library of high impact colors in a range of colors and finishes. Our pro eyeshadows are made with the highest quality ingredients and formulated to allow for smooth blending. The perfect go-to for any occasion to create your flawless looks. And then some details about this palette. It retails for $252. There are 42 super saturated colors, full-size pans, matte metal, satin. There are 1.8 grams each in each of these pans. They're cruelty-free, infused with jojoba oil, and it is vegan. So again, here is what the really cute palette is. I love leopard, and I love when it's done in a really cute way. So I love the fact that like it's rainbow and it's huge and it's got this really nice sturdy packaging. I love the fact they did this whole packaging different than all the other Violet Voss palettes that I have. I do have the other 3 palettes, the Holy Grail, the Drenched Metal, and the Laura Lee, and they all have that black material that's very similar to like a NARS packaging that just gets dirty. Like, my palettes are ugly and dirty, and I don't even care. So I was so excited though that they did something totally different. 1, 2, that it's adorable packaging, and 3, it is extremely sturdy and it's not going to break and it's not going to get dirty and gross. So let me share with you guys the palette. Yes, you do get a giant mirror. Now this is all cardboard, but to me it's really sturdy. But if you bend this all the way backwards like you would a normal palette, I do think you are going to break the binding, and then it is going to be kind of flimsy, and I don't think it's going to stay closed as well. So I would suggest not bending this all the way backwards. I know it does make it obnoxious that you have this whole palette open on like your table or vanity, whatever, but that's just my personal opinion. To keep it nice, I would not break the binding by bending this over. You do get a huge mirror. You did get mirrors with the other palettes, but they were small. This is a huge mirror to go along with the huge palette. So here is what the palette looks like. Oh my gosh. I love what they did and how they curated this palette with the colors. They basically put down the middle your gold shades as a divider. And then on this side right here, you have nothing but cool tones, whether they're browns, whether they're neutral colors, silver, blacks, whatever it may be. And then on this side, you have all the warm shades, the cranberries, the orange, the reddish bronzy shades. I mean, there's a little bit of everything for everyone. And I love that they didn't significantly duplicate any of the other palettes. Now granted, the Holy Grail palette is a very warm cranberry palette, but like the Drenched Metal has some crazy colors in there, some crazy pops of purples and blues and greens that they didn't put in this palette. They put more of the wearable colors for everyone, and so I really like the colors that they picked in here. All the names are names of girls. I think that is really cool. Mine is down here for Amy, this cranberry matte shade, and then the name Delilah down here is our dog, so she's down here, this gold shade. So I love that we're both in here. I think it's cute, but I love the shades in here. I think they're beautiful shades. You have more of your wearable shades over here for every day for like work and things like that, and then you have the fun shades for at night and for the weekends. I think the colors are really great. But most importantly, let's talk about the formula because they stepped it up for this palette. Now, I did enjoy my other palettes, but I think the reason why I considered them Love It and I really enjoyed them was because of those metal shades. They were amazing. They were so good. The mattes were okay. I find that the old formula, the ones without the jojoba oil, which is the Laura Lee palette, the Drenched Metal, and the Holy Grail, out of those, the matte shades to me are very similar to Morphe. They're very dry, they're a little bit gritty, they're still blendable and usable, but they have a very similar formula to Morphe. And so I like Morphe personally, but I don't love Morphe. I like it. I don't think they're the best eyeshadows in the world. There are plenty of other brands that I think are 10 times better. But I thought the metallic shades were amazing. So the metallic shades in here are very, very similar. They're like maybe a step up from before. I think they're really good. They're really smooth. They apply beautifully to the skin, and they can either be satins where they just look shimmery on the eyelid and beautiful, or they can be really, really in your face metallic. I do think they are best applied with your finger because they are very packed into the pan. They are very dense. They're compact. I mean, they just have a lot of density to them. They're very, very foiled. So because of that, they do apply best with your fingers. What I typically do is pick up a brush and then kind of do a one small layer on my eyelid and just coat it. Then I'll go back in with my finger and really pack on the color, and then I'll go back in with that same brush I used the first time around to pack on color to just kind of smooth out all the edges. And that's how I kind of layer and make them look as intense on my eye as they do in the pan. So I think the metallics are still amazing. Just a little step up because they have that oil in there. Really nice. I love them. But what's the game changer for this one is really the mattes. The matte shades in here got so much better. Like, they stepped up like 5 notches with that jojoba oil in there. Oh my gosh, they got so much better. These do not feel like Morphe matte eyeshadows anymore. Like, they really are silky and soft and pigmented and buttery. They're still not like as buttery as like a Tarte Amazonian Clay or a Lorac Pro formula, but they are definitely in an incredibly different formula than they originally were. And I think the true test for me too was some of these darker shades down here, because I gotta be honest, the darker black shades and all the other palettes really were bad. They were not that great. In the Laura Lee palette, the black shade in there was horrendous. It was not good. And these shades in here definitely got a lot better. I compared them. They're darker, they're more pigmented, they swatch better, they blend better. I will say still, the weakest shadow in this palette is this shade Carly down here, this black. To me, it's not as black as it could be, and you do have to build it up a little bit more, which is surprising. But the shade above it, Natalie, the one that has a little bit of micro glitter in it, is actually a really good dark black shade. So to me, these are so much better than the other palettes. Like, easily this Ride or Die palette is way better than any other Violet Voss palette they've made so far. So if you haven't gotten any of the palettes, this would be the palette to try. Not only because you get all these colors and the sheer size and amount of them, but because the formula is so much better in this palette. I still like those palettes, but now having this is the best one. As far as the wear time, they do have a really long wear time. I'd say they have a typical like 6 to 8 hour wear time if you don't wear a primer. If you wear a primer, I typically wore a MAC Pink Pot with these. They easily last 12 plus hours and they still look great. What's great when you wear a primer is they don't fade, including the matte shades. Typically the matte shades will fade faster than like the metallic shades because you really pack them on. These stay really nicely. They're long wearing. They are pigmented. The only bad thing I can say about this palette is, yes, you do have to use your fingers if you really want to intensify them. Some people don't like a palette like that. They want to purely just use a brush. I think you can still use the brush and they will look pretty, but they won't look exactly how the metallic shades look in this palette. If you want them to look how they look in the pan, then you do need to use your finger to pack them on and build them up. But overall, I really do love this palette. I've been using it non-stop. I think it's a really beautifully curated palette. I think they really stepped up the formula with this one compared to the other palettes, and I think the mattes in here are really, really good. They're definitely not that Morphe status, and they definitely really increased them. Still not the best matte shadows in my personal opinion of life. Like I said, I still love my Lorac better, but I do think these are really good. And overall, you get a ton of eyeshadow in here. I mean, they're 1.8 grams each, and you get 42. So if you're just beginning and you want like a full-on palette that's going to have tons of colors in here that are wearable, not a palette full of crazy, crazy colors, but a palette full of very wearable colors, this is a really good palette. And I think the packaging is cute. I think the packaging is sturdy. There's a good mix of mattes, metals, and satins. I mean, I think this is overall a great palette to start off with for beginners, a great palette for a collection, a great palette if you've never tried Violet Voss. Overall, I was really impressed with this. So those were some of my thoughts on the new Violet Voss Pro Ride or Die palette. Now we're going to jump into the swatches where you are going to see live brush swatches. You will see a swatch, you will see a live brush swatch next to it, and then you will see the names, and then we'll probably pause maybe like 5 to 10 seconds so that you can see each of the columns by themselves. So I won't be talking to you guys again after this. You're just going to see the swatches for the ending of this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review and live brush swatches. If you did at the end of this video, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay tuned tuned to all my upcoming videos. And definitely let me know in the comment section down below if you're going to be getting the Violet Voss Ride or Die palette when it releases. So I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!